Security on Parliament Hill is about to get a facelift. Proposed changes by the governing Conservatives would see the RCMP become responsible for protecting all the Parliament buildings. Currently, that's a responsibility of an independent House of Commons security force. Joining us now, security and safety expert Derek Humble from Globe Risk International. Thank you for coming in to talk about this. So it seemed when, after the October 22nd shooting, when people were starting to understand how the security worked on Parliament Hill, there were so many different bodies and so many different commands, I guess.
Yes.
On the surface, is this a good idea that it all goes now to the RCMP, or will?
I think it's got to go down to one body. The question is, what body will that be? I mean, I smiled the other day when I heard this announcement because I can imagine Mounties across the country going, oh, no.
Oh, no. Because they wouldn't want to have that detail?
It's a career killer. You're dealing with a very volatile group in the MPs, staffers, VIPs, you name it. There's no law that they can implement in terms of controlling that environment. One of the things we do in the private sector, we have laws. If you don't comply, you leave the building. I can't see anybody being thrown out of Parliament by the Mounties, so they get very frustrated. It's a career killer for sure if I go into that building for 2 years, whatever.
But what about to centralize the command of, certainly communication was a big problem that they recognize and that they want to have, I mean, one body, presumably one communication situation would be better.
Well, it is and it isn't. But you've got the Ottawa City Police surrounding the building. So you've got their jurisdiction outside. You've still got multiple jurisdictions going on because when something happens in Parliament, the Ottawa City Police respond. In the last incident, even the Army got called in. So you've got all of these communication issues you've got to wrestle with. So I don't think designated one force. I tend to think that the in-house crew that were there and have now been relieved of duties were much better equipped to handle the personal side of it, dealing with individuals, being more PR-oriented, because that's what they want. The problem that we've got in this country is there's no law that protects, let's say, the Prime Minister. In the US, the President of the United States is by law under the control of the Secret Service.
Yeah.
If they say jump, he says how high. It's not the same here. We have situations where the Prime Minister gets whacked in the face with a pie because one of his staffers told the Mounties to back off. That's not an easy situation.
Well, let me ask you about the physical nature of security, because that too was at issue during that shooting of who was where and why didn't anybody hear anything and people in cars, that kind of thing.
Well, the problem is that the outside of the building is where you're going to interdict any attack. That's where, if it were up to me, I would be focusing my manpower. I would have people outside walking around, talking to people, interviewing people, looking for some sort of threat. Because quite honestly, once the bad guys get into the buildings, luckily this time it was a rifle. Next time it could be, like the shooting in Paris, a couple of guys, automatic weapons. Once they're in a building, it's extremely difficult to contain them. The way to stop them is outside before they get in.
So you're saying patrol, walking certainly, but they're outside. And I think part of it, they even call no man's land from the street and then coming up toward that.
That's exactly
So you're saying that they need to be outside the cars.
You have a team of people out there that are trained to recognize something that's not normal. We call it situation awareness. If you're situation aware, it means you know what's normal, so abnormal sticks out. You can't do that from in a car. So when you see something that's abnormal, you would walk up to that individual and say, good morning, how are you? Can we help you? What are you doing here? If you're doing that, you're stopping people getting into the building. I mean, whether it's a suicide bomber or an automatic weapon, we don't like it when they get indoors. We can much better deal with them outside in no man's land.
To manage that risk. Derek Humble, thank you for coming in.